I go for refuge and turn my light into the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. I make humiliations for practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge and turn my light into the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. I make humiliations for practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge and turn my light into the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. I make humiliations for practice of giving and so forth. May I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sanje Joda Zoge Jonamla Chanjo Bando Tane Nyanzo Tage Jinzo Gebe Sonamge Joda Nire Sanje Jogaresho Sanje Joda Zoge Jonamla Chanjo Bando Tane Nyanzo Tage Jinzo Gebe Sonamge Joda Nire Sanje Jogaresho Sanje Joda Zoge Jonamla Chanjo Bando Tane Nyanzo Tage Jinzo Gebe Sonamge Joda Nire Sanje Jogaresho. Let us turn to page 50. We recite the following verses as a part of taking expression Bodhisattva vow, which we explained yesterday already. We'll say this together. And imagine that all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are with you, and all your parents, your family members, and all their mothers and beings are with you. Page 50. Page 50. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I choose the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I choose the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I choose the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. As Gurus, Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully learn the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, all generate the mind of bodhicitta, and our Shivaka successfully learn the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. As the previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully learn the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, all generate the mind of bodhicitta, and our Shivaka successfully learn the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mind of bodhicitta, and just as they successfully learn the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, all generate the mind of bodhicitta, and our Shivaka successfully learn the Bodhisattva practices. Anyone who can remind me of where we left last time?
How dependent origination is the middle way. Dependent origination has two sides, dependence, and how this rejects the absolutism. And
okay, no details. Be very direct.
Yeah.
Where we left last time. Otherwise, it's like a review class.
The origination
very direct.
Rejects the absolute of nihilism.
So in other words, they say how dependent origin, so in other words, how emptiness means the middle way. Yeah. This is a big umbrella. Anyone else who would take me a little closer to what we did?
Rejection of two extremes.
Rejection to extremes. Anyone else? Okay, then you shouldn't. Okay.
We should not objectify.
What is this? Your comment or where we left? Or your advice?
This is the middle way approach.
Okay. Thank you. It's like a summary. Okay. So thus far, we've covered a lot of materials. Okay. We all have the experience. After having a nightmare, we wake up and you feel relief. And the Buddha, in a sutra, Thosamling Nirmanjana Sutra, no, not Thosamling Nirmanjana Sutra, it's a king of the prayer. What's that? I think it's a king of concentration. King of Concentration Sutra, where the Buddha taught that just as in a dream of a young girl, she met with a boy and saw his death. Joyous was she at the meeting, and despair over his death. View all phenomena thus. This is a very powerful verse, where our emotions are all, in fact, how we lead a life. You, I, the kings, queens, prime ministers, presidents, the CEOs, or the beggar, or the dog, or the insects. How we lead a life is on the basis of the emotions. Happiness, sadness, anger, compassion, neutral, cognitive, affective, and so forth. So we flow with emotions. And the emotions, overall speaking, while we are in samsara meaning that the state where we are now is extremely disturbing. Overall net is suffering. And pockets of little bit of, one moment of, brief moment of happiness here and there. And then overall speaking, it's tears, fears, sadness, agitation, stress, depression. This is the overall story of this our biography. So with this, it is like the sadness and the fear in the dream. You wake up, you get such a relief. So just as in a dream of a young girl, she met with a boy and saw his death. Meeting with a boy is extremely exciting. For the boy to meet with a girl is extremely exciting. For the girl to meet with a boy is extremely exciting. And then seeing the death, and suddenly the opposite gender or your friend or the partner dies, and it shatters your world. All the excitement simply shattered into pieces, and the net is 0 and minus. The net experience is 0 or minus. So this is what it is. And then you wake up. Okay, then you wake up and all this mental disturbance, net 0 and minus removes. You feel the lightness, you feel relief. Okay. And similar to this, let's say, how many of you know what is prank? What is prank? Anyone? Raise hands who likes to explain what prank is? Manjari?
It's a joke one plays on somebody else.
How? Can you give me some example?
I don't know, like on April Fool's Day, short-sheeting the bed or pushing salt in the sugar bowl or something like that.
Okay, anyone else? Any other examples? Like coming in the facade of a ghost? Yes? And what is your immediate reaction? So much of fear, right? And then when will the fear dissolve?
When prank man say, I'm pranking on you.
Okay, when they say, oh, I'm playing a prank on you, right? Then the fear dissolves. So why, when you realize it's a prank, the fear dissolves? Why? Raise your hand. Yes.
Because you can see it's not real.
Because you see that what appears as ghost is actually not real. You getting it? Do you see some parallel between the two? The dream. You see dream is so real. And then emotions of fear, stress, anxiety, joys, and so forth. You're just tossed into this wave, turbulent wave. You wake up and become so balanced and tranquil. The prank. Hey! Right? In fact, I remember when I was a small boy, maybe age not too small, age 13 or 14, my teacher, he is an amazing teacher. And he would make his subject very interesting. His history, very interesting. Once in a while he would share some stories, anecdotes. What he said was that once there was a group of the school children, and they were going from the school to another place through the forest. And school children, among these children, there was one who was extremely fat boy, very fat, who could hardly walk like this. And then another group of boys, what they did was that they pretended as though like they are mafias. From the forest, suddenly the second group of the boy came out, mafia, right? All of the other boys, they started to run. Believe it or not, the fat boy came there first. So why this fat boy came there first? Why? Because so much of fear. The fear, the emotions of fear, right? And then the moment they come to discover that these, the who declare themselves mafia is actually just the school boys, right? Then the fear dissolves, yes? Okay, so just tell me, in a dream where your emotions are stirred so high and so low, like, in the common life, we see young boys, young girls, when they meet, there's so much excitement, and when they see the death of the near and dear ones, it just shatters the whole being. Just recently, I received a message from someone who lost her husband suddenly, very healthy, suddenly he passed away. And her life was totally shattered. So, overall, how many years they were together? Maybe like 20 years together, and suddenly blank out. And I could feel that she's feeling totally shattered and lost. So what is the total net? Zero and total gloominess, sadness, and being shattered. So I'll say the dream, it happens in dream also, with a prank. With the group of school boys, the fat boy, reached there first. So tell me, something is there in common in all these three? In all these three, there's a common there. What is that thing which creates so much emotions? What is there that made them give them such a relief? There's something common in them. Anyone? Raise hands. Anyone? Raise hands. Yes, here. Self-grasping, very good. Anyone else? There's some. And then when I say what is common, say for example, Petronla, and of course Gishama is here, and then let's say the Nicola, they will give you very professional answers. And newcomers, I cannot give the answer because look at these answers. You're getting it? So I'm not waiting for this answer. When these answers come, I know that they are from NMC and NDC like this. Right? I'm waiting for your original answer. So it doesn't mean that what the answer that they give is wrong. No, this is so good. But what I'm expecting, what I want is that all of us to grow from where we are. right? So whatever answer that comes to your mind is fine. Anyone, quick. There are so many commonalities. It's not just one or two. You just tell me, what are the common things between these three things, among these three things? Say, waking up from a nightmare and you feel so relieved. Nightmare means mental turbulence. Relief means balance. And then there's prank, the mafia prank. And then there's the boys, they're just running so fast. And finally we come to know this is a prank, they feel such a relief. And then the dreaming example the Buddha gave, the meeting with the opposite gender, there's so much of excitement, and seeing the dead, whole life feels shattered. So in all these three cases, we see there are many commonalities. What are the commonalities? Yes, over there?
And basically, it's a lack of confidence that whatever comes on your path will be fine.
Say it again. Okay, lack of confidence on a path actually will be fine.
You're not used to change, so you're very, very used to what is there. If change comes, you don't have the confidence that whatever comes, it will be fine.
Okay, so whatever comes, it will be fine.
Yeah.
Good. Anyone else?
Our mind caught up in the things.
Say it again.
Our mind caught up in the things, but before present us.
Our mind caught up in things before.
But we see in the dreams, but we see when someone prank on you, and when we see that, our mind caught up the things around us.
Okay, we are caught up by our, let's say that we are caught up by the reality is there, we are caught up by the fake reality. Right? Anyone else? There are many commonalities, yes.
Once they know the truth, why they are like that, then immediately they believe from that.
Before you know the truth, which means ignorance. With ignorance, your emotions are stirred, ups and downs. The moment you know the reality, your emotions will go back to normalcy. That is absolute peace. Very good. Anyone else? Anyone else? And can you correlate with what we learned yesterday, what Jimela said? Anyone? Yes.
We see things objectively real.
Yes. Then, when you discover that objectively there's nothing really there, your emotions will come into normalcy and absolute tranquility, become absolutely tranquil. Okay, so the message here is that, what is your name again? Diskidle. So what Diskidle said is that we are thrown into emotional stirs, ups and downs of emotions, by seeing things as objectively real, which is not the reality. The moment you see that objectively is empty, then you will feel the total rest of your mind, total rest of the mind. Mind at total rest in total tranquility, total peace. This is the meaning of the fourth seal. What is that? Fourth seal. Transcending sorrow is absolute peace. This is what who's seeking that? Buddhist or non-Buddhist? Absolute peace. Who's seeking this? Buddhist or non-Buddhist? Everyone. The Thosamling, what do you call the people of Thosamling? Thosamlingites? Or?
Thosamling girls.
Thosamling girls. Okay. Thosamling girls, right? Or non-Thosamling girls. Or everyone. Rich or poor? Both. Tibetans, non-Tibetans? Both. Everyone is seeking this absolute peace. So if you are seeking this absolute peace, what should you do? You have to discover that whatever we perceive, they are empty of objective existence. You getting it? Okay, this is so important. Which means we have to discover that things are, what's the another way of saying empty of objective existence? Hey, what's another way of saying empty of objective existence?
Inherent existence.
What is the another way of saying emptiness of objective existence? Wonderful. Subjective existence. We said yesterday, This flower is not your, this flower is mine, which means is another way of saying it is not yours, not yours. Say it is subjectively real means it is another way of saying objectively is empty, right? So when you say objectively is empty means another way of saying the flower is objectively empty. What's the another way of saying that? The flower exists subjectively. You getting it? Okay. So basically philosophy, or Nagarjuna's philosophy, is it difficult? I wouldn't say it's difficult. I wouldn't say it's difficult. Is it technical? Yes, it is technical. We cannot just conjecture, we cannot guess. These are so systematically learned. If you systematically learn, if you put little effort, if you, okay, for example, let's say, okay, let's say that you are earning, let's say, you are earning X amount of rupees per month, and which is very good. And then you advise, you say you want to, say, have some savings. So for this you have to go to deposit money. And then now it is very easy. In the olden times, you have to actually physically go to the bank and deposit money. And every month, you deposit, let's say, the 5,000 rupees. Every month you have to go. Is it difficult or not? Is it difficult or not? Hey, tell me, that's not physics. I say, so it's so difficult. Huh? To answer this question seems to be very difficult for you. Tell me, go to the bank which is nearby. Right? Every month you have to go. Is it difficult or not?
No.
It's not difficult. You can do it very easily. You're getting it? But do you like to do it every time like this? Right? You find it like it's so much waste of time. It's not difficult. You're getting it? Likewise, study of the Buddhist philosophy, or Nagarjuna's philosophy, it's not difficult, but it has steps. You have to follow the steps. You cannot be lazy. You have to follow the steps. If you follow the steps, be consistent, and it'll take time. By the time you reach the air, you'll find the joy. Once you reach the plateau, right? When you climb, you don't see the top of the plateau. Keep climbing, and when you reach it, then you will see the wonder. Wow, that's amazing. And now I've found the meaning of my life. Not only meaning of this life, meaning of the innumerable lifetimes of the past and the future. Now I have to extract the meaning of the, my whole existence. I found this meaning. Now I know how to stop the tears. So precious, so precious. Okay, so for this, what we see is that in all these three examples, we see that there are so many commonalities. One is that when you see things as objectively real, the dream is real, the prank is real, then you are stirred into emotions, fear, anxiety, stress, and so forth. When you see that it's not real meaning objective is not there, it's just what your mind thought, is what your mind, the subject imputes. It's purely subjective. Instantly the disturbance of the emotions calm down. You feel the tranquility, absolute peace. This is a purpose. This is the meaning of transcending sorrow is absolute peace. Okay, so if this is a message, wow, this is amazing. From this, what you see as, you tell me, one thing which you see is so precious for you to know. Tell me. From what we learned the last few days, today, much more like a summary made, and tell me one thing that you feel that this is so precious. Quick. Raise hand, don't feel shy. Raise hands, yes.
How to see that things exist subjectively.
How to see things as subjectively. Anyone else?
Avoiding the two extremes.
Avoid the two extremes. Just speak your mind, whatever comes to your mind. Quick. Any new hands? No new hands. Come on, Sujala. Don't know. What do you think? You felt as this is so important. Makes sense? Yes, Kamala. Renunciation. To renounce your cheesecake. Renounce samsara. What do you mean samsara? Loss of freedom. I really need to renounce the loss of freedom, samsara. Very good. Somebody, yes, Manjari?
That transformation is in my hands.
Yes, the transformation, from the fear to the fearlessness is actually in my hand. Wow, this is so precious. Thank you.
The whole phenomena of everything around us, ourselves, dependent on one another, and we are not the center of the universe.
Okay, so look, you have your own thoughts, and when others are sharing, listen to them. It can enrich your thoughts. So we see that everything is dependent on each other. There's nothing, one central thing, which is seen as so important. So I'm not really the most important thing. Very good. Anyone else? Reason, don't feel shy. Yes.
Emptiness equals the middle way.
Emptiness means the middle way. This is so profound. Very good. Anyone else?
That's exactly what I was
Wow. One mind in two different bodies. Anyone else? Yes. No. Anyone else? New hands? I don't think it's new hand, it's a long-term hand. Okay, new hands. Quick. Don't feel shy. Huh? Jimela?
I just have the feeling that the wisdom of listening is very important.
We have to the wisdom of the learning. This is so, after all, to talk about all these hype, you say this transcending sorrows, absolute peace, you will feel this. So all these things will come only when you actually have the taste of emptiness. For this you have to reflect on this more. For this we have to learn. So learning is the first step, which is most precious. Amazing. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Gate paragate, you cannot skip any step.
So it's gade paragade, it's not gade bodhiswaha. This is so important message. Thank you.
Conceptual meditative experience of emptiness.
So we must get the conviction that things are all dreamlike, things are all empty of objective existence. This conceptual understanding, we must get it. So precious, thank you.
Go slowly.
Okay, slow and steady wins the race. Don't rush. Don't think that you are smarter than Arjuna, right? That you can get everything within few days or few years. Right? Go slow and steady wins the race. Start small and then gradually expand. Very good message. Thank you. Yes.
Negative feelings are very spontaneous and very intense, and we should generate compassionate mind. Try to generate whenever we feel we feel negatively.
Negative thoughts, they are so intense, so powerful, so dominating. So now the counterforce is compassion, wisdom. We must not miss the opportunity. Whatever little time that you get, try to encourage, try to trigger compassion and wisdom whenever you get opportunity. Don't miss opportunity, so that eventually these two will become richer, and the negative forces will become weaker. This is the only way how things work in your mind to become enlightened. Wonderful. Okay, is there anyone else who likes to share your thoughts? Yes, here.
To wake up from sleep of ignorance.
We have to wake up from sleep of ignorance. Whatever we are seeing now, all these emotions are related to your cognitive thought processes. Your cognitive thought processes decide your emotional world. And the emotional world that we have thus far, like 20s, or myself in my 50s, some in 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So just go back in your just scan your life, whatever you experienced thus far. Scan it and see what is the net. What is the net? Happiness or miseries? There's nothing really happiness there. It's all miseries. So Why this is happening? Ye dharma hetu prabhava. This all happened because of a cause. What is that cause? Ultimately, it's the ignorance. As long as the ignorance, deep sleep of ignorance, as long as we don't wake up from this deep sleep of ignorance, this net suffering will never come to an end. If we want to bring an end to this net suffering, that we must wake up from this deep sleep of ignorance. Waking up, generating the wisdom to wake up from the sleep of ignorance, this is the key. So precious. Good. Anyone else? Amazing. Wonderful. I'm so grateful. So so happy. Okay, so this is what is expected after with the classes, that your thoughts, you should feel something. Yes, this is, I'm really in like a mess of samsara, and I should get away from this. There's always a way out. What is the way out? To revolutionize my perception of the world. How I perceive the world thus far, since my birth till today, from innumerable lifetime till today, things seen as so real. Now I come to learn that things don't really exist object, they're all subjectively. And once you realize that, like a dream, waking up from the dream, you feel relief. Waking up from the unconventional dream of samsara, you will have the absolute peace. Wow, this is so precious. Waking up from the sleep of ignorance. So precious. Okay. So from this, what we're going to learn is to understand the subjectivity. And then all what you said makes total sense. No thing subjectively, that things exist as subjectively, nothing exists objectively. And to know that stepwise, no shortcut. First study, reflect, meditate. Okay. So with this, from this what we come to know is that we really need to know. First we have to learn how things are subjectively real, how things don't exist objectively, and how perceptions can really stir our emotions. You're getting it? How our perceptions can stir our emotions. I'd like to share these anecdotes are so precious. Let us never forget these anecdotes, and these anecdotes try to relate them to your own life. I think this anecdote was shared in a sutra. So, in what context I'm trying to share this anecdote? Anyone? For what? How our perceptions stir our emotions. You getting it? How our perceptions, how our cognitive perception of the world, how our perception is subjective or objective? Perception meaning is more subjective or objective? Subjective. Yet, although it's just purely subjective, but we superimpose this perception as a reality, and then you are stirred into emotions. Okay, an extremely profound anecdote, a story. And we should learn how to relate this to real life. And if you're able to relate this, at times you may feel a tinge of a fear. If that happens, you are very successfully relating this to your life. If that happens, this is the only chance. This is the only opportunity for us to go gate, para gate. Otherwise, we are just, always showing the dream, picture of the pizza, not real pizza. Picture of the pizza. Picture of the pizza is never a pizza. Don't forget it. You getting it? So when we feel it, a tinge of fear, joy, and these emotions arise because of these reflections, relating the story to your real life. When that happens, this is so precious. Okay. One time, a couple was over there. What's English? A couple. Huh? A couple was there. Husband and wife.
There was a couple, yeah.
There was a couple. A couple was there or a couple were there? Huh? Okay, there's a British English here. And there is English study. Was. Okay. One time, there was one girl who was editing this book with me. I was sitting here and the girl was sitting on the other side, and we were discussing on the points. And then at one point, her English is so good. Native English, Indian, but with native English speaking, so good English. So generally speaking, I say that Indians, their English is so good. Not all. Not all. Indians, their English is so good. Really good. So sometimes when we have little disagreement, two of us will have a little disagreement with some English, I would say one thing and she would say something, and usually when it comes to English, I say whatever she said, I would say correct it according to what you say. Sometimes I disagree with her. And when we disagree, how to settle? I told her, call your mom. Her mother's English is excellent. And her mother is not affected by this book. She's already affected by this book. This book is mostly my work, my English. So although her English is very beautiful, but she reads, memorizes things from this book and mirror which are my English. So which means that she's also tainted my English. Whereas her mother is not tainted by my English. So I would call her, call your mom to ask which yours was correct, mine was correct. And she would call the mother, and the mother would say, she wouldn't say, Geshe is saying this, I'm saying this, no. It's just saying option A, option B. And in most cases, mother would say, my option is correct. Right? Then one day, not one day, in the course of further discussions, they were English related to the philosophy. Then when we disagree, she would say, Geshe, shall I call my mother? I said, no. Because your mother is good in English, not in philosophy. Right? Don't mix up the two things. Okay. I don't know why I shared this. Couple. Okay, there was a couple. Okay. So there was a couple there. There was a couple. They were a couple. No, there was a couple. I learned from British English. There was a couple. And the lady, the wife, was washing a dish in the olden time, washing a dish. Outside the house, washing a dish. Not like in the kitchen, no facility, just a very simple washing a dish with the water, you put water like this, washing a dish. And the husband was just standing by her. And then there was a very famous magician. And the magician passed by on a horse. And the husband was so intrigued. And her husband said, sir, 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 sir. And he stopped the magician. And I learned that I came to know that you are a great magician. Please, show me some magic. And he said, I'm in a hurry. I'm in a hurry. And he's riding a horse. He said, I'm in a hurry, because of which, usually when I perform magic, I need to have, there's one book to which I have to refer to. I have to refer to the book, and then I left the book in my house, so I cannot show the magic. And he said, no, please show me the magic. If you're very serious, then you have to go to get my book. He said, I'll be so happy to get the book. And then he said, where's your house? Then he gave the direction. You go like this, and then you reach my house. And he gave the key. And he said that my house is a little far away, I'm in a hurry, you better ride my horse and go to, so it'll be faster. Then he rode the horse. And he was riding. He lost the way. And 1 week passed. 1 month passed. 1 year passed. And he met with a girl. 2 of them got married. They have children, and children all died. The wife died. And again, then he was just lost in, like wanderers. He was like wanderer, wandering here and there. Again, he met with the second wife, third wife, fourth wife. In all cases, the children died, the wife died, children died, the wife died. Then fourth case, the wife died. Only one son was left. And he was so shattered, destitute. And he has this little son and then they were to cross the river. And he was trying to help the son to cross the river, and the son was also washed away by the river. Then he felt that life is just totally meaningless. What the Buddha taught. Meeting with the opposite gender and seeing the death, you feel despair. He was totally shattered and in despair. He said, there's no point in me to live any further. I should die. He jumped into the river to commit suicide. He jumped, and then suddenly he was just sitting next to his wife, who was still washing the dish. It was just like 2 minutes that he experienced like 10 years, 10, 20 years. You getting it? And he was tossed in emotions, just thrown in all these ups and downs of the emotions. Okay, so why these emotions? Because of the believing. Magician actually created magic. Alright, the moment he asked for the show me magic, he already created magic. Right? He was on a way, and he was going to the horse, thinking that he was going to the horse. Actually, he was not going to the horse. He was standing there, and the magic was already created. Okay, so all what we're going through, it is like the magical illusion. And who's the magician? Your self-grasping ignorance. That is the magician. That created all these illusions, and then we are made to believe in this as real. And then we are thrown into emotions. Okay, Nyingchil, how many years you lived on this earth?
25.
25 years. It's a long number of years, right? I lived for 55 years. So like this gentleman, just 2 minutes there, he saw 2 minutes as like 20 years. You're getting it? So you feel like 25 years. And I feel like 55 years is all the illusion created by your magician, self-grasping ignorance as the magician. Okay. So from this, whereas if you know that things are all subjectively created by the magician, all your emotions, all your disturbing emotions will stop. So we have to know things are all subjective. Things only exist subjectively. You're getting it? Okay, now we're going to learn few key points, key words. All things exist subjectively. All things exist conventionally. All things exist dependently. All things exist deceptively. And all things exist relatively. Okay, so what? Subjective existence, conventional existence, then dependent existence, deceptive existence, relative existence. So let's have these 5 as synonymous. Okay, what is the first? Subjective existence, number 1. Number 2, conventional existence. Number 3, dependent existence. Number 4, deceptive existence. Number 5, relative existence. Okay, let us learn these 5. You're getting it? They seem simple, but if you can put them learn them very systematically, let them in a very orderly way, and you have all these 5 intact, they'll be on your fingertips, your thinking becomes very clear. So these are the only hope, these are the only hope by which to get to the reality more and more closely. Okay, what are the 5 points? Anyone, very quick. Shall I point my finger to somebody? Or you like to own up, particularly those people who did not raise hands, right? Shall I put my finger? No? Or just on your own? Anyone? Raise hands? Quick. Anyone? Anyone else? No new hands. I'm looking for new hands. I'm looking for new hands. No new hands. This is a many times long old hands. It's young but it's old hand. Anyone else? Quick. Anyone? No one. It's also, young hand but old hand. Anyone? No? Huh? Where? There is a young old hand. I'm looking for young hand. Huh? Where? This is young old hand. Anyone? No one? Okay, now those people who never raise their hands, they are intense. No, seeing is objectively existing Geshe is objectively asking us to objectively raise my hand. So, okay, don't worry, no, you have no tension, I'm joking. Okay, anyone who likes to share with us? You?
The 5 points?
Yes.
All things exist subjectively.
Very good.
All things exist conventionally.
Very good.
All things exist relatively.
Good.
All things exist dependently.
Good.
All things exist deceptively.
Very good. Very good. How old are you now? How old are you?
25.
25. Okay. After 5 years, you should maintain this 5. After 10 years, maintain this. Okay, very good. Okay, these are things. You learn these are extremely precious. If you are to look for the quintessence of the purpose of life, these are things. Quintessence. Okay. This is 5. Now, with these 5 or 4. 5 or 4. 5. 5 means they are opposite 5. There are 5 opposites. Right? The first one is what? Subjective as opposed to? Objective. What is second? Conventional as opposed to? Ultimate. What is number 3? Okay, Tapala. What is the opposite of dependently as opposed to? Independently or independent. What is number 4? Deceptively as opposed to? Truly. What is last? Relatively as opposed to? Absolutely. You have to learn the 5 opposites. You're getting it? So, from there, our job is to reject objectivity, reject independent, reject what? Ultimate, reject true existence, reject absolute existence. And establish what? Establish subjectivity, conventionality, dependently, deceptively, and relatively. Very good. Okay, these are things that we need to know. Now, particularly, all these are very important. All these are very important. Meanwhile, I like to take you to the subjectivity and the conventionality. These two more. I'm going to emphasize more on these two, while the other things are equally important. The first lesson is subjectivity. Subjectivity as opposed to? Objective. Okay, can you give me some examples of subjective existence which you can easily understand? Which anybody can easily understand. Subjective existence, some examples. Rainbow. Good. Anyone else? Huh? Dreams. Very good. Mirage. Movie. Very good. Anyone else? Huh? And sometimes even the relationships, right? Yeah. Yes, come Sheila. All mental factors. All mental factors. That's very complicated. All mental factors. They're the example of subjectivity. Okay. What do you mean by that? Mental factors should be subjective, meaning? Say the mental factors, how the mind operates. It operates on the basis of what is perceived by the mind. It doesn't really look at what's the reality. So these operate on the basis of the perceptions. So they're all subjective. Very good. Anyone else? Subjective. Some examples. say even some relationships, or
Facebook friendships.
Facebook friendships, very, very, yes, this is, wow, this is amazing. That's amazing, right? Sometimes I just wonder, samsara, is it really bad? Samsara, is it really bad? Sometimes I wonder, this thought must be coming to many of the young people. Young people, they go through Facebook, they go through Reel, right? They go through Reel and dancing, right? Dancing, and backdrop so beautiful, and food, filtered food. You know what filtered food is? Picture the food and filtered. It's amazing, right? Wow, where is samsara? Right? This is the deception. This is purely subjective. This is the advertisement on the televisions. You're getting it? You dip the dirty cloth in the detergent, you take it out, it becomes new. Not only clean, it becomes new. You're getting it? Have you seen that? Such advertisements. Have you seen that? How many seen advertisements? Right? And the utensils, like utensils, which are like 20, 30 years old utensils, where everything is dented, right? And then you put in the the detergent, Herbrick, whatever, on the television, right? You put that, it becomes a brand new utensil. Amazing. Wow, amazing. In fact, when I was little, I must be age 8 or 9, if not 7. At the age of 9, I used to be so much confused with one thing. How many have seen, say, like any kind of boxes like this, or let's say a thermos, or let's say ink pot, where the label attaches that new. How many seen that? Raise hands. New, right? And I used to be so confused. One day the ink will be finished, and this pot will go into the dustbin, and then somebody will pick this up. It says new. I used to be so confused. And people who wrote this is from a company. It's very standard. It must be me who's wrong, right? Not the company. It must be new all the time. But logically speaking, no. One day the ink will go away, ink will finish, and go into the dustbin. And if this label is not removed, then it will gradually, this letter will change. NEWOLD, old. It will not change. It will forever remain as new, the label. And then, but this is not something, something who's deceiving us. It is there from a standard company, but it's new. But it's not new, reality is not new. I used to be so confused when I was age 7, 8. So what I'm saying is that there's a superficial reality and the real reality. There are two. This is known as the discrepancy between appearance and the reality, right? And Facebook, Instagram, dance, filtered food, and so forth. And the young people think, and then somebody suddenly comes up, hi, how are you? Right? And I introduce myself, I'm Mr. This is this. I'm girl, this is this. I'm boy, this is this. And the filtered food, right? And the dance. It's amazing. Wow. And then the emotions are stirred. This whole heaven is so beautiful, divine, right? And then, how are you? Even just waiting for this reply. I'm well, what are you doing? Right? Even this word, what are you doing? It excites. There's tremendous divinity in your emotions. It's amazing. Right? And gradually, you stop and still you're smiling. That's amazing. And your friends tell you, what happened? What's happened? You're so happy today. Oh. And recently, one of my friends, he was sharing with me his life story a little bit. And he said that he has a little child and he's divorced from his wife. I could not really go deep, I could not inquire deep into, how the divorce happened and so forth. And he's very young. And so much complications in his life. The relation between him and his wife, the ex-wife. Then he's also very matured in thinking. How come that you are so mature and the divorce happened? And then he said that, how come that you are divorced? You're so mature in your thinking. And he said that he first met the girl. Then he said he proposed the girl in 1 month. In 1 month. I said, that's too fast. I said, that's too fast. And he said, yes, that's true. He said, this is my mistake. I just saw the divinity there. I saw everything about this girl is so divine. It's perfect. And then he plunged into, he proposed and got married. And then he started to see the conventional reality, ultimate reality. He started to see the illusion. Then he started to see that he is in a mess now. He's in a mess. The child is already there. He's already in a mess. There's no other way other than to go back to the reality. Not be caught up in the superficial Facebook friend. No. Not Facebook attraction. Right? Then I told him that, what made you go after 1 month? Very fast. Why? And he was laughing. He said, you are right. I'm so immature. I saw the superficial reality as the reality. That was my mistake. Okay. So from this what we're learning is subjectivity, conventionality, deceptivity, and dependency, and relativity. And the 5 opposites. So how we have to look at things, how things appear to you as so objective as opposed to subjectivity, so ultimate as opposed to conventional, and so independent as opposed to dependent, and so true as opposed to deceptive, and so absolute as opposed to relative, being relative. Okay. So with this is one thing that we need to keep in mind. These are things that we should learn. And try to, what you learn, this concrete. And then try to relate this to your life. How am I really seeing things as relative, conventional, subjective, deceptive, independent, all the opposites. The first one, subjective. Subjective has many layers of connotations. For example, if I say that, somebody says that, okay, he's very educated. He's an educated person. And if you want to have some discussions on your PhD topics, would you go to this person or not? He's educated. Would you go to this person or not? He would go. The residents who would say, yes, I would go. I would go to this person who is educated. Residents? For my consultation with the PhD topics. Anyone else, any other views? You would go, not go? Hey, the question is, I introduced a person A, I told you that he is an educated person. And you are doing a PhD thesis. You have some, say, the PhD topics to discuss. Oh, he's educated, I will seek his advice, help. Would you go to help, seek his help or not? No. Some say no, some say yes. Okay, those who raised hands, those who said no. Okay, why not? Why not?
Why won't?
He is
educated, but he is not qualified for
professional.
Maybe he's Albert Einstein? Anyone? Actually, I'm looking for your articulation and I'm looking for your ability to go into the nuances. You're getting it? Prince Ali?
I won't go to him because he may not be knowing my topic.
He may not be knowing my topic. Very good. Okay, don't worry. That his topic and your topic is same. I introduce to you. Then what do you do? You'll go? Not go. Okay, now we have already moved to the second level. That your topic of PhD and his is just the same. But what I introduce him, the information that you have is what? Only two things. One is that he is educated. Number two is that his topic and your topic, these two are the same. So you are into physics, he is also interested in physics. Anyone?
I will go and talk to the person and then I will decide whether I will take his information into my work or not. But first I will talk.
Talk what? Talk about you have cheesecake?
No, talk about the topic.
Talk the topic. Then
If it is useful, I will use this information.
okay, good. This is wise approach. And to go to talk, which is easier? First go to talk, then discuss topics, or you ask me directly, educated, what do you mean by educated? Class 12? Or undergrad? Or masters? Or PhD? Or professorship? Or VC? What do you mean by educated? You have to ask me, right? If you ask me, this is easier, or you go to the meet, okay, Shila, can I meet him, right? And then the fix an appointment, and you consult the topic, which is easier?
Easier is asking you.
Of course, why did you not say this?
I assume that person is.
No, don't assume. You're getting it? So the point is, when you say educated, it doesn't mean that he is educated the first class. Educated has many levels. You're getting it? You're getting it? Educated? Just finished class 12 is also educated. Is educated or not? Somebody who's finished class 12. Somebody who finished the undergrad. Is educated or not educated? Angela? Educated. Masters, educated, non-educated. Of course, yes. PhD, postdoc, the professor, then vice chancellors. Of course, you're educated. So educated doesn't mean that that the person has reached the ultimate education. So subjectivity has many layers. Subjectivity has many layers. Simply because the word subjectivity is, you find mentioned by different schools, you are not to see them as same understanding. You're getting it? They can vary in subtlety. Why I'm saying this is that there are some professors I know, very senior professors, who are being renowned as scholars, but in actuality, actually when I actually meet the person, discuss, I was a little dismayed. Because the person said that Chaitanya philosophy and the Prasad philosophy is the same. I said, no, I don't expect this coming from you. You are such an acclaimed professor, scholar in Buddhist philosophy. But I don't expect this coming from you. Are you serious? You were saying that? He said, yes, very confident. He said, yes. And later on, I understand that his learning is all bookish learning, never from the proper tradition, properly initiated, never. Just read books, and then, Chitta subjectivity. Prasangyoga, subjectivity. This is the same philosophy. Right? Simply this is a problem when you do not learn the philosophy, particularly Nagarjuna's philosophy in a very systematic way. This is a problem. And how do you make a distinction between who study for, like those who study NDC, NMC, so forth, very systematically, versus people who are so pious, into Dharma, intelligent, and they read lots of books, never learn things very systematic. How you make a distinction is very easy. Recently, I'm not going to mention name, recently I met somebody who is holding a very high position, and he's also interested in Buddhist philosophy. And what he's saying is all scattered here and there. He has so many things to say, but all scattered. They're not at all linked to each other. They're all scattered. His mind is really scattered into pieces. Just opposite like scattered, not really put them into the proper way, synchrony. So whereas if you learn it very systematically, you see that there's a beautiful picture coming out of this, not just the pieces. Okay, so for this subjectivity, simply because the word subjectivity is there, doesn't mean that it carries the same weight as what Aranyaka Arjuna is teaching. You getting it? So subjectivity has many meanings. Okay, what meanings are there? Let me share with you some of them. The first one, subjectivity as opposed to, let's say for example, let's say, okay, the first one, subjectivity as opposed to substantiality. Subjectivity as opposed to substance. Subjectivity as opposed to substance. Number two, subjectivity as opposed to externality. Subjectivity as opposed to externality. Next, subjectivity as opposed to objectivity. Subjectivity as opposed to substantiality. Subjectivity as opposed to externality. Subjectivity as opposed to objectivity. There are three different layers there. They are not same. They differ in subtlety. Okay. The first, if you learn these things, if you learn these different layers, then when you meditate on emptiness, you are equipped. You are equipped with the skills to evaluate if you are getting the correct emptiness or a very shallow emptiness. You getting it? You will be equipped to evaluate if you get what the experience of emptiness that you have, whether or not it is the proper understanding of emptiness or it is just a shallow understanding of emptiness. You will. So the first one, subjectivity is opposed to substantiality. Second one, subjectivity is opposed to externality. Then subjectivity is opposed to. Okay, they are very different. You're getting it. So in a loose sense, when somebody says things are all subjective, you would say that, oh, nothing exists objectively. Subjective, objective, these two seem to, but it is not always the case. You're getting it? Once having introduced to these three layers, you should not get mixed up. Simply because somebody uses the word subjectivity doesn't mean the person is rejecting objectivity. You're getting it? So there are three things to be rejected, and depending on what level of your understanding. So what is the subjectivity supposed to the substantiality? Let's say that you go to a country where the monarchy is still existent. Monarchy, kings, queens, still existent, but the entire power rests in the hands of the prime minister. Can you imagine that? Do you know some of these countries? Okay, but ceremonially, the king is the head. You're getting it? Head of the king, the state. So, superficially, when you attend some programs, national programs, when you go there, you see that the king or the queen sits at the top, followed by the prime minister, as well as prime minister is the secondary. You're getting it? And for somebody who has no clue of this country, how the country operates, when you look at this program, right, national event, when you look at this king, that is the one with the ultimate power in this country. You will feel that. And then they say you have some very important work with the country on a national level. Then you try to contact the king, not the prime minister. And then nothing happens, right? There's always a formal exchange happening, nice, but nothing is happening. Then you gradually discover that everything is in the hands of the prime minister. You're getting it? So real power rests in the prime minister's hand, but ceremonially, it seems like so as the king has the one authority, one power. So, the king does not have a substantial power. Subjective as opposed to substantiality. So that the king in this context does not have the power in substance. He does not have the power in substance, whereas the Prime Minister has the power in the substance. You getting it? So the real power meaning this power in substance rests in the hands of the Prime Minister. So then what about the king? Why king is sitting as the main person in the ceremony? Why? This is ceremonial. This is just subjective. You getting it? It's not real. It's just superficial, subjective. So subjective as opposed to substantial. This is extremely important. Okay, I ask you some questions and you give an answer. And the answer must come from your real thought, not the philosophy that you learn. And in some cases, your thought and the philosophy that you learn can become the same. If that is the case, your philosophy is your real thought. In some cases, real thought is different and your philosophy is different. You're getting it? You're going towards the philosophy. So my question to you is, okay, let's see. What is in my left hand? Hey, speak.
Clock.
Wow. Okay, the beginners, tell me. Beginners meaning those who come for such retreats for the first time in your life. What's in my hand? Okay, those people who are, who is a clock, they are mostly who I know so many years. I ask the beginners. Okay, give an answer. What's in my hand? In my left hand?
Clock.
Only one beginner. Huh? Hey, all the beginners. What's in my hand? Clock. There are more beginners there. Okay, good. Okay, a clock is there. Now look. I remove the clock. What is my left hand now? Huh? Manjariji, I don't think you are new. You're getting it? I'm asking the new ones, the beginners. Hey, what is in my left hand now? Nothing. You getting it? Just speak what comes to your mind. You don't wait for some exotic answers. You getting it? The answer that comes from your real thought, that is the exotic answer. What's the exotic answer? Answer that I'm expecting from you. That is the exotic answer. You getting it? So you said that nothing is there. You getting it? Okay, those who said, raise hands. Those who said nothing is there. The newcomers, raise hands. Those who said nothing is there. Good. Okay. The clock is there? No. Absence of clock is there?
Yes.
The newcomers, hey, you are not new. Right? So what you said is that there's no clock. Absence of clock is there? Yes. So something is there?
No.
Absence of clock is there?
Yes.
Absence of clock is something? Okay. So if you get little lust, that's true, like mixed up or like contradiction. Oh, nothing is there. Absence of clock is there? Yes. Absence of clock is something? Yes. Something is there? If you say yes, if you say you already said no before. If you say no, absence of clock is also something. Something is there. So you end up in seeing a little bit of contradiction. If you feel the contradiction, this is when you are growing in your philosophy. You're getting it? This is how you grow in your knowledge. Only when you see the contradiction there, then the real growth takes place. If you don't see any contradiction, you will never grow. Okay, good. So now the absence of the clock, is it there or not?
No.
Absence of the clock is on my left hand or not? Yes. And the absence of the clock, does it exist or not?
No.
Absence of the clock does not exist. In your pocket, is the absence of clock or not? In your pocket? Yes, it is there. It is there means it exists. You're getting it? So absence of clock exists. Absence of clock exists. So now if you go, oh, that's interesting. Then after the retreat, you go to your shop and shopkeeper tells you, where's the money? Yeah. And the shopkeeper tells you, nothing's there, there's something there. No, there's nothing there, absence of money is there. Right? And the shopkeeper will say, I have no time, please go to mental hospital. You're getting it? So look, the shopkeeper says that there's nothing there, and you are saying that something is there. There's a contradiction there. Do you see the contradiction?
Yes.
Of you, after learning about this concept, absence of the clock, absence of money, and so forth, you said something's in my hand. Shopkeeper said nothing is there. You said something is there. So there's a contradiction between the two of you. There's a conflict. You're getting it? So why is this conflict coming? How do you resolve this conflict? Why is this? Why the shopkeeper? Who's correct? The shopkeeper said nothing is there, and you said something is there. Who's correct? Both are correct. Which means something is there, nothing is there. Both are right. It's crazy, right? My pocket is empty. My pocket is full. It's empty. It's contradictory, right? Okay, tell me. So how is it that what makes the shopkeeper says nothing is there? For the shopkeeper to say something is there, listen, this is very important. For the shopkeeper to say something is there, there should be some substance there. You're getting it? If there's no substance, for the shopkeeper nothing is there. For you, you have now grown from the very ordinary way of thinking to a little bit of logical thinking, where something is there. Absence of the clock is there. But absence of the clock does not have a substance. Absence of clock is like round in shape. It doesn't have any shape. It doesn't have any color. It doesn't have any substance. You're getting it? So it does not have a substance, but you say it does exist. If it does exist without any substance from the object, then it's coming from the subject. So the absence of the clock is subjective. It's not objective because it doesn't have substance. You're getting it? So the first level of understanding of subjectivity is subjectivity as opposed to substantiality. So ordinary people, when they see there's nothing is there, means there's no substance there. If there's no substance and you say something is there, that is purely subjective. So subjective as opposed to substantiality. On that level, the flower is subjective or not? On that level. Does it have substance? Yes. What is substance? Opposite of that is subjective. So if it is substance, it's not subjective. You're getting in that context. So subjectivity has many connotations. Subjectivity as opposed to the substantiality. Given that this flower has a substance, it is not subjective in that context. Now, let's say that absence of chocolate in my hand. Does it have substance? It does not have substance. Does it exist? It does exist. But without substance, it exists as subjective. You're getting it? So what exists without a substance, it is subjective. What exists with substance, it is not subjective in that context. One. Number two. What is the difference between this flower and the reflection of the flower in the mirror? What's the difference? Anyone? Number two. What's number two? Subjectivity as opposed to externality. What is the difference between this flower in my left hand and the reflection of the flower in the mirror? What's the difference? There are so many differences. Just big. What do you think? Raise hands. What differences?
The flower in hand has substance, but the flower in the mirror does not have any substance.
Reflection of the flower in the mirror does not have substance. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else? What is the difference between the flower in my left hand and the reflection of the flower in the mirror? What's the difference? Anyone?
It's optic and image. One is objectively true, one is subjectively.
So one is objectively there and the other one is subjectively there. Anyone else? There are many differences here.
The flower in your hand can function as a flower
Oh, there's a flower in the mirror.
The reflection of the
Oh, okay, I was confused. You know, so something's wrong with me, right? So people are seeing flower in the mirror. I don't see flower. I see the image of the flower, right? Okay, the flower in my left hand functions as a flower, but the reflection of the flower in the mirror does not function as a flower. Beautiful, it's amazing. Anyone else?
A can move B, but B cannot move A.
You can move this flower.
And that A moves the other, but the other one cannot move that one.
You can say it again.
The flower in your hand can move the flower in the mirror, but the flower in the mirror cannot move the flower in your hand.
Oh, there's a flower in the mirror. Seems most of you are seeing flower in the mirror. That's amazing.
The image of the flower in the mirror.
Okay, so this flower can move. By moving this, image of the flower in the mirror can move. Image of the flower in the mirror cannot make this flower to move. That's beautiful. Anyone else? Yes.
Oftentimes, reflection in the mirror appears closer.
Okay, yes. So in the cars side mirrors. What is that? Object in mirror always exists closer than what it appears. Thank you. That's true. Okay, then yes, Tabala.
You can touch the flower, but you cannot touch the imaginary, like the image of.
You can touch this flower. You cannot touch the flower in the reflection of the flower in the mirror. You can touch. You cannot touch it.
I mean, you can touch the mirror, but not the.
Oh, actually, you are touching the mirror. That's true. That's true. Okay, very good. Thank you. Yes.
Without the flower in the hand, the reflection will not exist.
Perfect. Without the flower in my hand, reflection of the flower in the mirror cannot happen. Okay. This flower exists. Okay. This flower exists outside the mirror or inside the mirror? Outside the mirror. And the reflection of the flower in the mirror exists outside the mirror or inside the mirror?
It does not exist.
Huh?
It does not exist.
It does not exist. You can take a photograph of that. Right? So many people who are in the reels, right? They're so expert in this. If you don't know that the reflection in the mirror exists, you ask them. Right? The mirror reflection the reflection of the flower in the mirror exists. Reflection of the flower in the mirror does not exist as a flower. It exists as a reflection. You getting it? Okay, this distinction must be made. Okay. So my question to you is, this flower, does it exist outside the mirror or inside the mirror? Outside the mirror. And reflection of the flower in the mirror, does it exist inside the mirror or outside the mirror?
On the side.
Huh?
On the side.
On the surface. On the surface meaning?
On the mirror.
On the mirror. On the mirror.
There is no inside.
There's no inside of the mirror. Of course there's inside of the mirror. Mirror has some thickness. Yes, the mirror has some thickness there. Thickness means there should be outside, innermost, and then in between. In the mirror, on the mirror, whatever you. Okay, English, what is English? Huh? On the mirror, the reflection is in the mirror, reflection on the mirror, in the mirror. Okay. So now let's say that, but the reflection in the mirror is not really outside the mirror. You agree? Reflection of the flower in the mirror is not outside the mirror. You getting it? You getting it? Okay. So let's say that this reflection of the flower in the mirror, it is because of the existence of the mirror and the light, yes? And also the flower outside. So what the reflection is just the light, right, bounced by the mirror, yes? As simple as that. Okay. And whereas this one, this is really outside the mirror, external. This is external to the mirror, externality. Now, at one point, what the Buddha taught is that everything that we see around, they are like the reflections in the mirror of your mind. Your mind is the mirror, and everything is like the reflection in your mind. Okay, now, pick up something and look at it yourself. Look at it, you look at it. Pick up something and look at it and see how the object appears to you, as external or as a reflection in your mind. How does it appear to you? As external. You getting it? So everything appears as external. But the Buddha taught, at one point, the Buddha taught that everything exists not as outside your mind, not as external. Everything exists as reflection in your own mind. You getting it? Oh, now let's say the flower outside and flower in the mirror. Of the two, which would you say is subjective, which would you say objective? The flower outside the mirror versus the reflection in the mirror. Reflection of the flower in the mirror. Which of the two you would classify as objective and one as subjective? Which one? Outside the mirror is what you call as objective, and what is inside the mirror is what you call as subjective. Now don't forget what I said now. If what the Buddha taught, if you realize that everything what you're seeing around, you're experiencing, they're all nothing like the reflection of the flower in your mind, mirror of your mind, then would you describe everything as subjective? Let me repeat it. My question is, if, as the Buddha taught, one day you realize that everything what you're experiencing, they're all just a reflection in your own mind. When you discover that, would you say, at that point, would you say that everything is subjective? Yes. Good. Good. So, that is second level of understanding of subjectivity. Subjectivity as opposed to externality. There's nothing external there. Okay, how many came from outside? How many of you entered this house, entered this hall, from outside this hall? Raise your hands. From outside means external. You getting it? So in reality, there's no external there. So, if you have dreamt of attending a class, you're actually in your bed, and you dreamt of going in the rain, you go and wait there, and the rain stopped, and the morning very cold, and then you don't enter the room, you stay outside with the sun. How many of you did that? Raise hands. Just look at the sun like this. Right? Morning you not enter the hall. So you were waiting where? Inside the hall or outside the hall? Outside. Outside means external. You're getting it? So let's say in the dream you did that. So in the dream you thought that I was outside the hall. You getting it? And then the bell rang, and then you entered the hall. You getting it? Inside. So in the dream you felt they were outside, inside. You wake up, the concept of outside, inside dissolved. Everything's inside. Yes? When you wake up, whatever happened in the dream, outside, inside, all these things will dissolve, and you come to this all just internal. Inside meaning your mind. Whatever happened in the dream is just my mind. You getting it? So mind is like the mirror, and all that happened in the dream, they are like the reflection in the mirror. You getting it? So here, subjectivity as opposed to externality. This is the second level of understanding. Now, third level of understanding. Third level of understanding. How many of you have watched movie in a movie theater? Raise hands. Okay, this is the wrong question. How many of you have never watched a movie in a movie theater? Huh? Okay, before you watch movie in a movie theater, tell me, just imagine that. Okay, imagine that you watch a movie here, and you are the spectator, and the screen is here. And where is this movie coming from? Projector. Where's the projector? Behind you. For the time being, this example will work so well. Perhaps after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, this example will not work. Most likely, after 10, 15, 20 years, even in big movie theaters, the movie may not be projected from the projector. It may be coming from like the plasma. You getting it? May not require the projector later on. But today, this example is perfectly well. So where's the movie projector? Front? Behind you. You getting it? So is there a gap between the movie projector and the movie? Yes, no? Yes. And the movie comes from where? From the screen or from the projector? From the screen. That's interesting. That's amazing. Then we don't need the projector. Right? Movie comes from where? The screen remains there intact. The moment the projector stops, instant the movie stops. Within a split of a second, the movie on the screen stops. The screen is intact, but the movie stops. You agree? So which means that movie is on the screen, but not from the screen. It's from the projector. You getting it? Movie is on the screen, you agree? Because you are watching the movie on the screen. But movie is not from the screen. It is from the projector. Projector is in front of you or behind you? Behind you. Okay. My question to you is, which means the projector is like your mind. Mind is a projector which projects things. Right? So, with the example of the movie and the projector, so the movie is subjective or objective? Subjective meaning is coming from the projector. Projector is the subject, screen is the metaphor for the object. Right? So the movie is coming from where? Object or from the subject? Subject. So the movie is subjective. You getting it? Okay, now I've given you two examples. The mirror and the reflection mirror versus the movie and the movie projector. What difference do you see? There are so many differences. What difference do you see? Raise hands quick. Raise hands, raise hands. What difference do you see between the two? One, the movie and the movie projector. Other, the reflection of the flower and the mirror, which contains the reflection of the mirror, the reflection of the flower. So what difference do you see? There are so many differences. Just explain whatever you think, whatever comes to your mind. Quick.
Reflection of the flower has a cause.
Then, the movie also has a cause.
But cause is the external. Flower's reflection. The flower.
Okay, that makes some sense. Good. Anyone else? Yes.
What has subject-object relation?
No, my question is, what are the differences? I'm not talking about the similarities. What are the differences?
In the flower case, the flowers, if the flower is present, then the reflection of flower is subjectively present. If the object, if it exists objectively, then it exists subjectively. In the movie case, the movie is coming subjectively, then we are able to see objectively. I'm not able to, but if it doesn't come subjectively, then we can't see objectively.
So the movie is purely subjective, purely coming from the projector, but the reflection mirror is not coming purely from the mirror, because we require the object there. Very good. Everyone else? Okay, let me give you one clue. Is that movie and the movie, the reflection of the flower and the mirror, between these two, is there a space gap? Is there a gap or not? Hey, think, don't listen. Is there a gap? Yes. Right? Think. Don't be scared, right? Okay, now he's asking very seriously. I have to say something, yes. Most like that says yes. Okay, my question is, the reflection in the mirror, how many of you have seen the reflection in the mirror? Raise hands. Right? You know that, it's not physics again. So, reflection of your face on the mirror when morning, when you look at the mirror, reflection of face in the mirror, and the mirror, is there a space gap? Yes. The mirror, and what is the space gap? 1 inch gap? What's the space? You said there's a space gap. What is the gap like? Huh? Okay, raise hands those who said there's no gap, raise hands. There's no gap between the mirror and reflection in the mirror. There's no gap. Or those who said yes, there's a gap, raise hands. Those who said yes, after this class, go and check. Right? What's the gap? Check it. There's no gap. You getting it? Mirror is like the example of your mind, and the reflection is like the example of the things that you are perceiving. You getting it? But how many you have banged against the mirror? Raise hands. How many you have banged against? Okay, all of you, look at those people who raise hands. Raise hands, those who banged against the mirror. Raise hands. Manjariji, here, and then Sedila, and this girl here, and over there, here. Why did you bang against the mirror? Why? It's very painful. Why did you bang? You must have thought it was fun, right? Why did you bang against the mirror? Manjariji, why?
I'm actually not sure, but yes.
Okay.
Because you think there's a gap. You made the mistake.
So you made the mistake that behind the mirror there's something there as external. You getting it? You thought that there's something there. So that thought that there's something there behind this is deception. What you see as external is deception. You getting it? So likewise, when you look at people around you, you see them as external to you or internal. When you look at the people. Look at the people around you. Look quickly. Just see whether they are seen as external or internal. External. So that is just as in the mirror, you can make mistake and bang against the mirror. You are actually making mistake to see them as external. You're getting it? These are nothing but a reflection in your own mind. Okay. So with this, we see that with the reflection, the mirror and the reflection mirror, there's no space gap. Because there is no space gap, this is known as emptiness of externality. Emptiness of externality. There's no external there. Okay, now movie projector in the movie. Is there a space gap or not? Yes. You're watching the movie on the screen here and the projector is behind you. Is there a space gap? Yes, there is space gap. If there's space gap, that's external. You're getting it? In both cases, is a wonderful example of subjectivity. But in one example, there is no externality. In the other example, there is externality. You're getting it? So the second one, which is the movie and movie projector, this is an example of subjectivity as opposed to objectivity. Whereas in the case of the mirror and the reflection in the mirror, this is the understanding of the subjectivity as opposed to externality. And the absence of the flower, in the absence of the clock in my hand is an example of subjectivity as opposed to substantiality. You get it? This is so important. If you are confident in these three layers of understanding of subjectivity, then later on in conferences, meeting with people, there's some people say subjectivity, there's nothing external there's nothing. People tend to mix up these three things. You're getting it? People tend to mix up these three things. The substantiality, externality, objectivity, they mix up all these things and they think that they understand the Prasangika philosophy. This is where they're going wrong. So now, but of course we should not be egoistic, knowing the nuances of the objectivity and subjectivity. It should not leave room for our ego to arise. Just feel the joy that I'm so lucky that I've learned about subjectivity on these three levels. And then finally is to uproot my own self-grasping ignorance. You getting it? Okay, we'll stop here. Parasangate bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasangate bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati